Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel with Shady Creations Co. If this is your first time coming, welcome. If you have already been here, welcome back. Today I just wanted to show you guys exactly how I'm going to make these simple dominoes. They are very easy and quick to make. If you haven't, please remember to subscribe. Thank you so much. Okay guys, so let's get started. So what you're going to need is your PPE. I use my respirator. I'm just showing you guys the PPE that you guys are going to need throughout the video. I purchased that on Amazon, as well as some goggles because sometimes you have issues with the fumes hitting your eyes and you have an allergic reaction to epoxy. You want to just make sure that you do have the proper PPE when you are using epoxy, because it can be very toxic if you are not doing it correctly. As well as I have some nitrile gloves, and I purchased these at Walmart. I believe they were like $12 for, I believe, 200. I have several different size cups that I'm going to be using because I'm going to be using different colors of glitters, as well as I need to mix my epoxy. So that is me just showing you guys. Basically, I have 4 cups. 2 cups are going to be used for mixing part A and part B, and then 2 cups are going to be used for each color of glitter that I'm going to have. So basically, I'm going to take 2 cups and I am going to mix them together into the bigger cup that you guys see right there. And sorry, I'm doing a voiceover on this video because my son kept coming into the room when I was trying to make the video. So I decided to just do a voiceover. So excuse my hand language because I was talking during this whole time, but I decided to edit it out because all I hear is him coming in the whole time. So these are the glitters that I'm going to be using. This one is, I can't quite read the name of it. However, it is from the glitter dealer. I do apologize. Very pretty glitter, as well as this glitter. And I'm not sure exactly where I purchased this glitter from. I just know that it is a chunky mix that I received somewhere off of the internet. I mainly shop at Literally and Rose or the glitter dealers. And here's the cup that I am going to be matching up with the dominoes. And basically, as you can see, the 2 colors of glitters, that's the color of the cup that I have. And the theme is going to be a slot machine theme. So another reason why I decided to do a voiceover is because I am going to be wearing my respirator throughout this video when I'm pouring the epoxy. So as you can see, I just have my 2 mixie cups like I said before, and I'm going to just mix them. If you are a beginner, I suggest that you get medicine cups that have the milliliters on it. I kind of eye it. I've been doing this for quite some time now, so I have a good eye for it pretty much. So I'm just going to pour it into the cup. And basically the amount that you kind of want to do is at least 160 mLs. I know it sounds like a lot, and in the end of the video you're going to see that I am going to have a little bit of extra just because this mold that I'm using is actually a very small mold. I haven't used it a lot. It's not my typical one that I use. So now what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and transfer these 2 into the bigger cup so I can mix them together. Okay, so I'm just going to mix them all together. And like I was saying, so basically The issue is the mold that I'm using is a little tiny compared to the typical mold that I make my dominoes with. However, they still come out really nice, as you guys can see in the beginning. And this mold was a little bit cheaper off of Amazon than my other mold, and it is a little bit different from, this is a regular mold versus the double wall mold that I had in my previous domino tutorial. So this one, I just wanted to show you guys exactly how I make them, and if you guys cannot purchase the double walled mold, this is a great alternate way to make dominoes. So I'm just gonna mix it all up, as you guys can see. And the difference between the double walled mold and this mold, we're going to actually have to place the dots onto the dominoes with paint, and we'll get to that step. I know that we're just on this step, but I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a regular domino mold, not a double walled. Okay, so I'm just mixing it up, and I know that it looks like I'm mixing very fast. I'm okay with that because I'm gonna go through and spray it with alcohol once I am done and they are poured into the mold. Typically, you want to make sure that you're at least stirring your epoxy up for 3 minutes straight. However, like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of know when it's ready. Usually epoxy is going to be ready once it is clear. So here it is. Basically, I am just showing you guys, I put it back into the other 2 cups that I have, and now I'm going to go ahead and mix my glitter in. Now, when you are mixing your glitter in, you can use mica powder, glitter, some people even use eyeshadow to mix it in. This time I'm only going to be using glitter, and that's okay as long as your glitter is thick enough to cover both sides, and so they are not transparent, so when you lay your decal down it won't be showing through, unless that's the look that you're going for. So you just want to make sure that you have enough coloring into your epoxy for whatever look you're going for. You also want to make sure that you are stirring thoroughly through. And I do apologize. My son is in the background as I'm making this video. So like I said, I do apologize. He's 3, so he's a little hard to stop at this moment. So this time I'm just going to do the same exact thing that I just did for my green, and I'm going to do it for the silver. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm mixing it very thoroughly through, because you do not want it to be half mixed and your dominoes are not gonna all be looking the same pretty much. The greatest part about making these type of dominoes with these 2 colors is you're going to have a color on the bottom, a color on the top, and they're going to match in between, or however you would like. Some people like to match them, you know, with a 1/3 ratio. It's totally up to you, however you would like them to look. This one I'm just kind of freestyling it. This is for my mom, so I'm just pretty much freestyling this just to show you guys. I've already made the cup, so here we go. So I decided to pour, and then I realized that I was actually pouring way too much into the mold because the mold is tiny compared to my normal molds. So as you can see, I'm like, oh my god, I pour way too much. So I will take a syringe, which I'll do in just a little while, and get some of that epoxy out of there, because I still need space to be left in between my molds so that I can lay my decal and put my clear layer down. So that's fine, as you guys can see. So I started using the spoon or the wood stick just to put enough in there, and that worked out great for me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. I'm just putting a very little bit in there, just enough to cover the dots and to cover the mold about halfway up. And I wanted to show you guys exactly how I'm doing it. That's why I decided to do this amount. So here I am with this syringe, and I'm just going to suck out some of that epoxy and put it into another domino. So the issue is I overfilled the mold, and that's what you don't want to do. Like I said, you want to make sure you leave enough room for your decal as well as your thin layer that you're going to need to cover the decal. And I did forget to mute the background video on this part, so I do apologize. You're gonna hear me sucking out the epoxy out of it. It's a little funny sound, but I do apologize in advance. I did want to do enough for you guys so you can kind of get the idea of how I'm getting these to kind of mix. There's no way, and I do apologize, my ring light actually turned off on this part, so now I'm back. So I had already filled all the molds up to the top, and now I'm gonna just go ahead and spray them with alcohol, as you guys can see. And like I said in the beginning, I did have some extra epoxy left over. So what I decided to do is just fill another mold that I have. These are just some self-defense little keychains that I have that I'm just gonna go ahead and fill up with, just to show you guys exactly what I do. I like my extra epoxy, and typically what I'll do, I won't even sell these. I'll just throw them into like some cups that I've made. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and send my mom one of them. I put one on my key ring when I was done with this as well. But they're just little extra little fun things to make people really, remember you, especially when you are doing tumblers. I know that the market is so saturated, so you want to make sure that you can, do anything for your customers so that you can stand out and they'll remember you and come back to you. So I'm just filling up the mold right now, as you guys can kind of see. I know my hand's in the way. I do apologize for that. But I'm just taking, the little bit that I do have, and I'm filling it up. And I needed a little stick to kind of push it down just because I am using some chunky glitter. As you can see, I overfilled this one as well, which that's fine. Like I said, there are going to be some little free ones. So I'm just taking my syringe that I used on my Dominoes, and I am getting a little bit of that out of there, just so I can have enough, because I just didn't want to overfill them and then they don't really look too good. Okay, so here is the next step. So basically, this is exactly how my decals come, and I just print them off of Microsoft Word. I'll make it, and that's exactly how it looks. And I just peel the back off. This is on printable vinyl, and I place it on there. And as you can see, I've already did most of them, but I wanted to show you guys exactly how I do it. So I'll just make them 2 inches 2 inches long by 1 inch wide typically, but these ones were a little bit smaller, but that is the measurements that I found works the best on these dominoes. So now I have my epoxy, and this is 88 milliliters of epoxy that is mixed up right now. So I'm gonna go ahead, and this step, what we're gonna end up doing is putting the last layer of epoxy on these dominoes. Okay, sorry, I had to put my gloves on. And what I'm going to end up doing is the same exact method that I did prior to this. I'm just going to put a little bit on the end of my stir stick, and I'm just going to drizzle it on there until I feel like there's enough to cover every single bit of it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do for all of them. And of course, I'm going to show you guys just a few that I've gotten through. And I do apologize. My ring light came off again. It's hooked up to my computer, and if my computer light goes off, the ring light goes off. So I do apologize for that. Like I said, I'm just showing you guys exactly how I'm filling up the molds. One of the biggest things you want to make sure you do as well is get your corners. I've had it sometimes where I miss the corners, and I would have to start all over on the whole entire domino, whichever, number domino that was. I would have to start all over from scratch. So you want to make sure that you are getting in the little nooks and crannies of these dominoes, especially with this layer, because this is the layer that's going to sit on the back, and this is the layer that you're going to be able to see which ones are bigger, which ones are smaller. So you want to just make sure you get them as even as possible. So I basically just filled up the mold, as you can see. Now I'm just showing you guys that I literally use all of that epoxy out of there, and now I'm just going to spritz it with my alcohol to make sure all the bubbles are out of there. Okay, so we're back with the next step of this. So basically, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to dot the dominoes now. And I decided to do them red and black because of the back decal. And what I'm going to dot them with is my little daughter that I got from the Dollar Tree, along with some acrylic paint from the Dollar Tree, just the black. And I believe that this red came from Target, if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm also going to use a toothpick for my middle part, because my mold is the line on it is so skinny, so it's very hard to get the paint in there without using a toothpick. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to dot really fast. I'm only going to show you guys just a few of them so you guys can see what I'm going to do. So usually one dot into the paint is enough for usually 1 or 2 times. It just depends. So I'm just going to literally taking it and I'm dotting. This is the part that can get a little time consuming, so you want to make sure that you have time on your hands for this part. Usually I'll do it like during the day, or when I have a little bit of extra time during the day, I'll take all of my dominoes and I'll start dotting them, the ones that need dots. Okay, so that one's dotted. And then I'm just gonna take my toothpick and I am going to go across the middle. Gotta get enough paint on there. And it's okay to get it outside of this. It's hardly impossible. So you can either take your finger and just swipe across, or you can take a piece of paper towel and get the extra off. Just swipe over it. So I just use my finger, which is fine because it's just acrylic paint. It's not a big issue. So another thing I wanted to address too on this part of the video is I overfilled my mold. You want to try not to overfill it, but it's okay if you do. So what I'm going to end up doing with this, all of the little pieces that I have extra, I am going to take my X-Acto knife. I'm going to heat it up with my heat gun, and I'm going to just cut off as much as possible. And then I'm going to take some sandpaper. Right here I have some sandpaper. I'm gonna wet it and I'm just going to sand it down, and then I'll just use a thin layer of epoxy to go across the edges of that. Okay, and then also once I am done dotting every single domino, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take them outside and I'm going to use some shiny acrylic spray paint, and I'm going to just go across them really fast just to give them their shine back from wiping and getting all the paint off of it. If you have any smears or anything, you want to make sure that they're out before you put that last clear coat of paint on there. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the final result on exactly how they look before they go in the bag and they are shipped out. Okay guys, thank you for watching, and here is the final result on exactly how they look before they were shipped out. And here is the cup and the dominoes. Please do not forget to follow up with the links below, as well as watch my other video on dominoes, and follow me on Facebook. Thank you so much.